Captain Toad Treasure Tracker had a re-release on Nintendo Switch and 3DS last year, and Nintendo just left in a whole bunch of scrapped stuff this time. Plus, some of it is pretty weird. Hello and welcome to the Cut Content Of, a show where we try to find content that you aren't able to see in some amazing games. When this game received ports to Nintendo's other systems, for some reason the developers didn't remove test objects, debug tools, and scrap levels when creating the game this time. The 3DS version even hints towards Super Mario 64 content. In that version, the ObjectData folder has over double the amount of files that the Wii U version has, and most don't even get used. First though, let's look at what was cut from the port to the Nintendo Switch. Some strange characters, enemies, and objects can be found in the files. There's Kidnapper, a blocky red bird-like character that is probably a very early version of Wingo, the bird that kidnaps Toadette in the opening cutscene. The animation names are very similar too. The Master Sword from The Legend of Zelda has been left in the files, as a model called Sword. It's possibly here because Captain Toad was first proposed as a Zelda game. A pink cube with a crudely drawn pig face, called Rival, is in the files. It has animations where it bobs its head up and down, and one called Walk, where it bobs its head forwards and backwards. Male is a realistic human with a walking animation. Another cube-shaped character exists, this time called Stalker, a red cube with a weapon and some walking and running animations. Boss Truck is a blue version of a Splounder from Super Mario 3D World. It has a few animations, and they probably would have launched this unused enemy, which is a Madpole from 3D World. An early version of the level selection book can be found. It's called Demo Book, and has the Japanese for Toad written on the front. There's an animation for it opening, but the final game doesn't use a 3D model for the book. There's a model for a golden plane, possibly meaning that Captain Toad being able to fly a plane was an early concept during development. Similar to this is Car, a red race car. A model called Chicken exists, which is a retextured version of the bird seen in the game, but with no flying animation. Chicken Cage is a basket with animation showing that there may have been a concept for a level where you throw the chickens into the basket. Some models that aren't in the Wii U version have the word test in their names and go unused. Some of the most notable ones are Test Trample Switch, a P-switch which looks exactly the same as Trample Switch Rotate. Test Switch Block A and Test Switch Block B are red and blue checkered cubes. Interestingly, the red one's texture is called Defo 5 and the blue one's texture is called ISO 4. Test Sand Map Parts, a flat green grid with a high poly count for what is just a square shape, so it could have possibly been used to test changing the shape of sand. Test Mic Balloon, a very basic hot air balloon with a name suggesting that it would have risen or expanded when blowing into the microphone. It's exactly the same as another unused model called Air Balloon. Test Ando Grass, a Mario Galaxy style spherical planet with a rock on top and spikes of grass all over. The texture files for this model all have Galaxy in their name, meaning that there may have been some Super Mario Galaxy content planned for this game at some point in development. Test Ando Plain Grass is a flatter version of this planet with grass on top. Both of these models have animations for the grass swaying. Also, there's a debug object called Debug Cube Map Check, which contains some spheres of different colours that cube maps would be applied to. Debug Editor Scene Cube Map is similar, and has 13 textures, with only 4 having images. There's a cloudy sky, a nighttime balcony, a grassy nighttime area, and a grassy area that looks like a level. These textures are really low resolution, so it's really tricky to tell where or what they are. The original Wii U game has models for Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach and Bowser which aren't in the Switch version, because the stages from Super Mario 3D World were cut. There are still a couple of enemies from 3D World, which are Blurkers, Cat Goombas, Sting Bees, Big Piranha Plants, and a potted piranha plant that can be picked up. The Super Leaf, Super Bell, Lucky Bell, and Boomerang Flower are all unused in the Switch port. Because 3D World content was cut, this also means that the levels from Super Mario 3D World aren't in the files for the Switch version, though a couple of maps were left behind. 6 more unused levels are some of the Captain Toad levels from Super Mario 3D World, which were possibly used for testing in this game. Loads more unused levels exist, and account for nearly half of the levels in the entire game's files. Whole Cake Stage is one of the most finished of them, and is a snowy cake scene. It doesn't work since some moving parts are missing. It can also be seen here in some concept art. Next is Double Zone Flip Stage. This one uses the question mark switches from Super Mario 3D World that you have to activate to progress, while Stingbees and Piranha Creepers try to stop you. Sink Escape Stage lacks most of its objects, but could have been an early version of the Goomba Galleon level from the DLC. The 3 levels from the demo are in the final game's files, with the pixel toads all removed. 7 out of 11 levels shown off in the E3 2014 trailer have trailer versions in the files. Bizarre Doors of Boo Mansion has pluck patches which were replaced with a Boo, less hidden coins, and an intro cutscene. Blizzard on the Star Express has cat Goombas rather than Flaptors, no blue toad, and pluck patches with different items. Minecart Sunset Rundown has also got an intro cutscene. Mushroom Mesa has 4 Shy Guys rather than 2, less pluck patches and visible coins. Walleye Tumble Temple has an intro cutscene as well, a daytime skybox, and different placement for some objects. The final scene in the trailer isn't in the final game, but can be found in the files of the Switch version. The trailer also shows a completely cut level called Underground Touch Cave Stage. This one works absolutely fine, but doesn't have a pixel toad or any camera transitions. The version of this level shown off in the E3 trailer is very similar and has its own separate level files. Some blocks and a pickaxe were added to this version. Loads of additional cut content can be found in the 3DS version, and it's even more interesting. An object file called OLDFORTRESSSTEP has a purple question mark block for its model, but the collision file actually resembles Whomp's Fortress from Super Mario 64. This may have just been used for testing, or could possibly have been part of a scrapped set of levels featuring parts of classic Nintendo games. The corners seen here on the model are more rounded than the N64 version, showing that this model is most likely the same as the throwback Galaxy model from Super Mario Galaxy 2. In that game, the model is called OLDFORTRESSPLANET. Adding to the theory that there was a scrapped set of classic levels is the existence of a model file called TAKAITAKAIMOUNTAIN. The name translates to Tall Mountain, the name of a level from Super Mario 64. It's got no actual model or textures, but there is collision data for it. The collision file doesn't exactly replicate the original level, but the spiral mountain shape is there. We also found collision data for the Super Mario 3D World title screen, so the classic levels could have been cut from that game, or were just used to test the controls for it. Another unused level has collision data in the files, which is the Stamp Hut from Super Mario 3D World, along with one of the Sprixies from the game. This may have, at some point in development, been a way to collect Miiverse stamps. Template Stage Geometry has collision data showing 2 flat planes at a right angle. There is no model and there aren't any textures. There are also some graphic test objects that only have collision data. Graphic Test B features a castle entrance and some of its interior. Graphic Test E is a box with 3 cubes and 3 spheres inside, of different sizes. Graphic Test F looks like a very basic version of a Mario level. Would you have preferred Super Mario 64 levels over Super Mario Odyssey levels? Comment your thoughts on these discoveries below, and make sure to share the episode with someone who might be interested. You can also click here to see our Mario games playlist. Thanks for watching.